Welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. It's your host, Lonzo Jones. I'm back, but tonight I got a special co-host, Miss Trenda Owens. Now, the topic for tonight, let me get to that real quick. They got me doing so much around here. Here we go. The real work of a social worker. The real work of a social worker. Trenda, tell them why we picked this topic for tonight.
We picked this topic. First of all, let me say, this month, March is Social Work Month. Let me say that again. March is Social Work Month.
Gotcha.
Third time. Third time. March is Social Work Month. And the reason why that topic was picked, because to me, this is a time, because of the era that we're in and all the changes that are taking place in our country and our nation, politically, and just so much that's going on. I figure it's a time that, we debunk some of the myths that is going on in the world about social work. There's a lot of misconceptions about what we do. And I just felt like this is a time that social workers could come together and talk about, the real work that we do. I think it's up to us. Part of what we do is bring education and awareness. And so part of what we do is educate our community. So I think this is a great time to educate people on the various dimensions and fields that we can go in social work, and also bring about awareness of what we really do. And then in that, I just wanted, I want to really say thank you to the founder of the Rescue Me Project, because he actually gave us this opportunity. Shout out to Dwayne Malone for giving me the call to say, hey, let's do this. Hey, I didn't know it was Social Work Month. So for him to even acknowledge that and give us an opportunity to even be here and to do this podcast. Just huge shout out to him. But the first thing, and then I just want to bring social workers together in this space for us, again, to bring awareness to our community here in the Shoals area. We can't reach the nations, but at least we can reach our own community to say, hey, this is what we do. And while we're coming together, I wanted to just do a little something for our social workers here. So in the process of that, I got on the email and got a hold of the mayor of Sheffield. And I want to bring him up now, Mayor Stephen Stanley. And I wanted him to recognize our social workers and just to do a little something for them.
Awesome. Is the mic on?
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here tonight and to take part in this special event. And from the governing body of the City of Sheffield, this is a proclamation recognizing March as Social Work Month. Whereas social workers are essential to the well-being of individuals, families, and communities, providing critical support in areas such as mental health, child welfare, health care, and social justice. And whereas the Shoals area encompassing Sheffield, Florence, Tuscumbia, and Muscle Shoals is home to dedicated social workers who serve in various capacities, ensuring that individuals receive the services and advocacy that they need. And whereas the social work profession is often misunderstood with misconceptions about its role in child welfare, family services, and community support, and whereas social workers play a vital role in strengthening our communities, addressing systemic challenges, and promoting positive change for vulnerable populations, and whereas, in honor of Social Work Month, a special podcast featuring social workers from across the Shoals area will be hosted in the city of Sheffield to amplify the voices of social workers and dispel myths about the profession. And whereas it is fitting to recognize and celebrate the invaluable contributions of social workers in our city and beyond, Now, therefore, I, Steve Stanley, Mayor of the City of Sheffield, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Social Work Month in the City of Sheffield and encourage all residents to recognize and appreciate the dedication and service of social workers in our community. And that's in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sheffield to be affixed to this certificate on March 20th, 2025.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank
you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Trendon.
So we're going to kick it off. We really thank you again, Mayor Stanley, for that. You know, social workers are concerned about making sure our clients are seen, valued, and heard. But not that we look for recognition, but are we seen, valued, and heard? And so that's just a small gesture, just to say, you know, that the City of Sheffield sees us, hears us, and values us. So we appreciate the mayor for doing that, and the City of Sheffield. So let's get this thing in high gear, and we're so thankful for the panel being here on today. And I'm going to let you all introduce yourself. We'll start here, and if you would just introduce us, tell us your name, what type of social work you do, and what led you into this field.
It's at the bottom. Yes, ma'am. It's hot too.
My name is Daisha Burgess, and I am a licensed independent clinical social worker. I currently have several roles because I have several jobs. So I'm a clinical therapist, and I work with the social work department as an instructor. The reason why I decided to become a social worker is because not only did the social work core values resonate with me and my personal values, but I was able to help individuals. I was able to work with individuals that have a wide variety of issues, being able to provide them with services.
Awesome, awesome.
I'm Angie Bailey, and like Ms. Burgess, I have more than one job, but I teach at the University of North Alabama in the Department of Social Work. I taught adjunct before becoming full-time faculty, but in that role, I'm able to help social work students understand what those core values actually mean. And like Ms. Burgess, that is one of the reasons that I really wanted to be a social worker, because all of those core values that we learn about in Introduction to Social Work, they resonated with me, and they align with what I value. And I loved the program, and I just, you know, they when I was in the BSW program, they made you realize the importance of social work. And, but my other roles have been primarily in education, in removing barriers to education that students might have, whether it's K-12 or higher education.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Hey, everybody.
Yo.
My name is Leslie. I'm a licensed master social worker. Like everybody else, I have several jobs as well. My main job, I work remote for a digital mental health wellness company. And I'm also contracted district social worker for Carver County Schools. Shout out to Brooklyn. My mental health coordinator. I do PRN at Bradford, and I also tutor bachelor's students and MSW students for their licensure exam.
Like what do y'all?
I have several jobs.
Like, when you got time? Like,
but I work remote, so we'll get into that later. But
like, man.
So several jobs, big bags. I work hard. So what led me to social work as a young child, I always like to argue and I like to advocate. Actually, Dr. Coleman Reed's husband was my school counselor in elementary. So it was either between social work and law, and I fell into social work first. So that is where I am, and I argue and I advocate every day in multiple roles.
Awesome.
That is such an apt description. So I'm Dr. Frida Coleman Reed, and I'm the chair for the Department of Social Work at the University of North Alabama. And like the other social workers on this panel, I have more than one job because I'm a licensed clinical social worker who is also a supervisor. I'm a private independent practitioner. And so I work in the area outside the university where I do clinical therapy, but I also am licensed to do adoptive home studies and I'll operate my own business, consulting, depending on who is seeking individual services. So what led me to social work? I think
Yeah.
yeah. What led me to social work was I wanted to be a pediatrician growing up.
Mhm.
And but I love families and children. And I had a sister-in-law who said, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to be a pediatrician? I said, because I want to make a change in families. I lived in a impoverished neighborhood, lots of crime, lots of drug and alcohol use in my own family. And I thought the way to do that was through being a pediatrician because I have affinity for biology and chemistry. And she said, girl, you want to be a social worker. You want to get out in the community, make a difference, and really have time to work with families. And she was right. And so that's what I am.
Awesome. Before we get into these questions, like y'all done said some stuff. Number one, why y'all got so many jobs? Like, what is like, seriously, I know I'm laughing, but why y'all have so many jobs when it comes to social work?
They do not pay us
Okay,
our worth, so therefore we need multiple streams of income.
gotcha.
I'm on the other spectrum of that. I work hard because I like to shop and I like to buy. I like to travel. I like
Okay.
to do what I want. So multiple streams of income. Like I work jobs where they're not paying nothing. So once I got my credential for my master's license. I'm like, okay, whatever opportunity fall in my lap, let's get it. Let's
Okay.
make this money.
All right.
I work a lot because I love what social workers do.
Yes.
And so, yes, we are not paid enough.
Yes.
But then there's so many opportunities in the community to make a difference. And people will just approach you and say, can you do?
Mm.
And because we're in the human behavior business, we say yes.
Can't say no.
I love the way you guys like talk, and you can tell you guys know what you're talking about. Even your posture is like, yes, this is. I've earned this. Like you can tell that you
Yeah.
just didn't wake up and just, oh, let me just dibble dabble. No, it's like, no, I had a passion for it, and then I went out there, and then I achieved it, and now I'm pouring back into the community. So you can definitely pick that up with you ladies. You didn't. Why you got so many jobs? Well, come on.
I really enjoy all the, I have primarily two jobs, I guess, but I really enjoy it and I don't want to give it up. And there's a lot to do. And I enjoy the work.
Gotcha. Y'all also mentioned core values. Like I don't know what the core values are. So can y'all give me a couple of them or something? Like shoot me some core values.
Integrity, service.
Dignity and worth of a person.
Competency,
Compassion,
Importance of human relationships.
Social justice.
dignity, and worth of a
Service.
person.
I like all of them.
All of them. We can spit them.
It sounds like effective leadership. Like when you really break it down, like all that is like what you need in an effective leader. And in the social work field, just from observing, you have to have a heart for people, and you have to be a leader, not only of other people, but yourself. Because if you're not leading yourself right, the core values are for yourself, first. So I like that. And I had one more thing that I wrote down. Like y'all kept naming, like when you see me taking notes, I'm not critiquing y'all. I'm taking notes so I won't interrupt y'all while y'all talking.
You good.
So types. How many different types of social workers are there? You was like this type, this. I'm like, what do you mean? It's social work.
It's a lot to do.
There are over 101 careers in social work.
You got to be kidding me.
Yes.
Everything from psychiatric social work to military social work, veterinary social work, policy and advocacy, international social work, sports.
Social work.
Yes.
Now
The social workers in the music business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The social workers in social media.
Yes.
Wow.
Social work is booming.
Like what like why?
We're social workers. What you mean?
Is it like I'm not saying like I'm like, why is it so many? Like, so y'all have to get different concentrations or different certificates, or y'all kind of can do all of that with just the master's degree that you have.
So let me say, social workers are trained on two different levels. First of all, we are a profession. And so that means that we train people for employment. So when you get a degree in social work, your BSW, that's called a generalist degree. So we're trained in skills, methods, and values to work in numerous jobs.
Okay.
Okay, and then when you get your MSW, your master's in social work, that's an advanced degree. Some universities have advanced generalist degrees, like the University of North Alabama, because we have so many needs in our community. We want to train people to be able to work in as many areas as possible. But you might be getting your degree at, say, UAB, where they focus on medical social work. Or you might be at an institution that focuses on trauma and informed practice with certain populations. Or you might be working at a place that has social workers who get an MSW and a JD, where you're going to go into law and social work. So institutions change.
This is amazing. Like, I never thought social work was that deep. I've seen movies and I've been around certain social workers, but I never thought it was that vast, that broad. So that's awesome. Man.
And that's the point why we're having this conversation.
Right. Big time. Because I'm like, wow.
Because I got to say this, and this is why, I'm on a rush to have this, because some people view social work as if we just help. All we do is help, volunteer, and mentor. And it's so much more than that. That's why we're professionals. We do assessments. We do interventions. We do therapy. We engage in communities. We do policies, micro, macro, meso type work. There's just so much to social work, much more than just saying helping someone across the street or buying someone groceries. Yeah, we will do that.
Yeah.
But it's so much more to it than that.
Well, that's awesome. Like I said, I'm glad we're having this too, because I'm already learning, and I'm like a sponge. So keep it coming. Keep it coming. All right, here we go. So let me get into this first question that we have on our list here. It says, social work is full of misconceptions. So what's one of the biggest myths about your profession? What's one of the biggest myths?
Which way we going?
Whoever want to step in, y'all might want to let her go last, because
that's the OG.
if she go first, she may kill all y'all. So y'all may not. You better be smart. No, just playing.
Got a valid point.
Well, I already picked up. Oh yeah, she own it.
You go? You go?
You go.
I can go. I think for me, the biggest misconception of the field of social work, I know a lot of people think that we don't make a lot of money, but as social workers, our skills are very transferable and are very marketable. So it's important to kind of find your lane and kind of build on that. But it's money to be made.
Gotcha.
Maybe not in Alabama, but there's money to be made. And I want people to kind of start thinking about social work. I know when I was in school, it was a common statement of, we're in it for the outcome, not the income. I hated that, because I'm trying to make some money.
Yeah, I feel
so there's money to be made. You just gotta go out there and get it.
Gotcha.
So I think for me, because I work jobs that paid pennies, so I pulled it out the trenches. Like, I got out the mud. It's money to be made, and I want more social workers to kind of move from that. We have to settle for low incomes. We have to settle for low salaries. No, everybody else is not. Every other profession and field are making money. We should too.
Awesome. Money, misconception. Who's next?
I mean, I can go again if anybody else got anything to share.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, I had a physician say to me that social workers are just bleeding hearts.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want people to assume responsibility for the consequences of their behavior.
Ooh.
And that is absolutely not true. Social workers are about social justice, and social justice is equitable social treatment for everybody. If you do the crime, you should do the time, but everybody should do the same type of time for the same type of crime. And so we are about people being responsible.
All right.
And I was going to say that as well. I think that as social workers, society sees us as enabling bad decisions. We have programs that help people to get food, housing, help with utility bills, assistance for their children. And society sees that as, we're just bailing them out and we're enabling them to continue to make bad decisions. However, as social workers, we are here to empower. So our goal is to provide services to the individuals that we come in contact with. And our goal is to help them to be able to, make better decisions for themselves. So it's not just bailing them out. It's about empowering them, giving them the tools and skills that they need and the resources so that they can, from that point, be able to, make better decisions and to be able to help themselves.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I like that answer. You last one? Come on.
Well, and I was going to say the same thing, basically, that they both said that there is a misconception that that we make excuses for people and we don't hold people to the standard that some people think they should be held to. And it's not really making excuses. We understand their circumstances sometimes because we've spent time with them. And
So if I could add to that too, and you think about bailing people out, as Ms. Burge was just saying, people think, oh, when people get food stamps, social workers frequently help people get resources in the community. Food stamps is one of the major programs that move people out of poverty. So when we help people get access to food, then we are helping them be able to stabilize their homes and their families. It's hard to think and work and you have nothing to eat.
Come on.
So,
Come on.
And
Keep talking. I'm just
I would also like to add that along with those programs, there are requirements. So in order for you to be eligible to receive food stamps, there are certain things that you have to do. So it's not about just providing a service. It's about also, again, giving them the tools and the resources so that they're able to become stable. And at some point, then they don't need food stamps.
Well, I wish everybody can get food stamps how groceries is.
Me too.
I wouldn't turn them down.
Yeah.
If somebody's selling them,
Somebody come
give back to me.
No, I ain't trying to buy them. I want them free like everybody else gets.
You got to pay.
I survived off them in college. I already know that.
we get taxes.
That $72 a month was good. Shoot. All right, go ahead, Trenda.
Now, that one myth we did not talk about. Come on now.
We snatch people kids.
Baby snatchers.
We did. I feel like majority of social workers have though. I mean, a lot of us have. I feel like that's a good stepping stone for
I want to challenge that. We don't have a you hatch them, we snatch them.
Oh, we don't snatch them.
We don't snatch them.
We don't get paid anymore for us taking a certain amount of children.
We don't take children.
Y'all don't get commissions, what you saying, for taking kids.
And we don't take children.
I heard that. I heard we get a cut if somebody.
I'm just making
take
sure I
kids.
heard it right.
That's what they say. We get a cut if we take X amount of kids.
That's what they say, that we get more. When I work with DHR, that we get more money based on the number of kids that we take.
Okay, so let's bring some truth to what we're going to do.
Let me know. Tell me.
Do.
So let's just say, because I just have to jump in there, because that's been said since I'm the OG. That's been said since I was young. But what really happens is that social workers go out and investigate the situation and gather information and data and make a determination about the safety of children. And then the judge
Come on now.
decides whether or not though that situation merits removal of the child. And there are times when social workers are advocating based on the information that they have gathered to remove the child for their safety, the safety of the child, and to preserve the family. And the judge says no.
Yeah.
So how long does that process take in order? Because obviously she just said the judge got to make a decision. So that's like, it don't seem like it's a quick process.
It could be. It just depends on the severity of what's going on.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is. Very individualized.
Okay. I'll take that answer.
All right, so now that we cleared up some things.
Some myths.
Yeah. We want to talk about now the point, what do social workers really do? So we're going to go one by one. Doesn't matter who starts first. And we want to talk about, like, what does your day, because we got a remote social worker. We have a department chair. We have a therapist in the house, a previous child welfare worker. We have a previous school social worker, a present instructor, professor, and she trying to keep quiet as it kept. This our so-called quiet one over here, but a lot of social workers in this area, she has helped get licensed. So she teaches one of our licensure courses, or the license in our master's program. And she's sitting over here quiet with her doctorate degree. So I'm just gonna call her out. Love her to life. But she has helped many get their licensure, which allows us, many social workers, to do a lot of the clinical work that they do and go on to be able to do other things in the area. So take us a day in the life of Deja as a therapist.
Okay. So right now I work at IBH. So my day starts at 7:30 a.m. I start seeing patients. I see 9 patients a day. My sessions are between 45 to 60 minutes. I see children. I see children and their parents. I see adults, and I address a variety of mental health issues, depression, anxiety, trauma, any type of relationship issues, anything that is impacting you being able to, impacting your overall well-being. So literally, when I start seeing patients at 7:30, I do not stop until I take my lunch break at 1:30.
Okay.
So while I'm seeing patients in between, I am trying to document. I have to make sure that when I'm documenting that I am providing enough detail so that my claim does not get denied by the insurance company. But then I also want to make sure that I'm not providing too much detail because I don't want to overshare, because I want to make sure that I am having some type of confidentiality. So I do that, take my lunch, and then I see a couple of more patients after that. And then my goal is to have all of my documentation done by 5 o'clock. That does not always happen. In between me seeing patients, I try to take a little break because, again, I'm sitting with patients for an hour, and that does get heavy. Also, we have a monthly team meeting where we will sit with the psychiatrist, our nurse practitioners, and we will discuss our different patients that we have. We will discuss their progress when it comes to being able to manage their mental health issues related to medication. We'll also discuss any new stressors that they may have or any new issues where they might be having issues with medication, or maybe they're having family issues, and maybe there needs to be an additional medication provided to help them through whatever they're going through currently. But that's pretty much it.
So let me ask you, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I really want people to understand, how are social workers able to become therapists? And kind of tell us about all these like initials that y'all folks have that's behind your names.
Miss Days, before you answer that, bring the mic up closer so we can actually hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Bring it on. Come on, you got to keep it there.
Okay. So I started off at UNA, obtaining my bachelor's degree. I knew that after I graduated in 2015 that I wanted to get my master's degree. So I obtained my master's degree at Alabama. After I graduated in 2017, I studied for my LMSW. Failed the first time, but I came through the second time.
All right.
After that, I had to be supervised by a LICSW, which is a licensed independent clinical social worker, for 2 years. After I completed my supervision, I was able to sit for my LICSW test. I took my test, I passed it, and then after that, I was able to provide therapy. Clinical therapy. After I got my license, I also applied for my PIP, meaning that I'm a private independent practitioner. And that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Wow.
The more credentials, the more initials that you have after or before your name,
Mhm.
the more money, more income.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's what I'm talking
Can
about.
I add to that too?
Yeah.
That in the last several years, the Code of Alabama changed, which allowed clinical social workers to be able to diagnose patients. Prior to that time, we were only able to give diagnostic impressions. So now, clinical social workers as a profession is a more viable profession in Alabama. Alabama's the last state in the United States for that to pass,
Mm.
but we can do those things because the Code of Alabama allows us to, and our licensure says that we are trained professionals.
Awesome.
Right. Awesome. Dr. Bailey, tell us about your day and what, what do you do and what all that entails and what does it mean?
I don't know that I have a typical day.
Okay.
But I have lately it's been academic advisement and trying to help students understand what classes, what other classes they can take to support their ambitions for what they want to do with social work. Some are trying to earn a child welfare certificate. But other than preparing for the classes that I teach, trying to stay on top of what's going on with the licensure compact that our state has approved. So, and then after I finish with UNA, I meet with other students who are also UNA students, but I'm in another role. I try to help them identify what any obstacles, and that's just through just sitting down and talking with them and helping them understand that, hey, if you're having a problem with this class, just talk with your professor. And that's, like I had mentioned earlier, to me, that's removing an obstacle, because a lot of people don't understand that you can have a conversation with someone and tell them that you're struggling. But those students have come from either foster care or placements where they've been away from their biological parents. So, so there are many obstacles to education for them. I'm blank, but other than, because there's no day typical. My day usually starts, in the morning around 8:00. And then it usually ends around 7-ish. Sometimes later than that. But if I'm not meeting with students, I am on the phone with them or texting them or just in communication.
Awesome.
Leslie, tell us about your role. Maybe I should say your role.
My role, okay, so I am a digital cognitive behavioral therapy coach, and my company I work for, we have 8 different mental health programs. So my role as a coach, we offer coaching via text, phone, or email. My phone sessions are 15 minutes, no longer than that. I have 24 hours to respond to a text or email. So I also write blogs. I do webinars for my company. That's about it.
Okay.
So an average day for me, I was able to make my own schedule. So I normally start my day around 9:30, 10.
11, 12, no.
Somewhere around there. So whenever I get up, actually. So I send out my emails for the day, my texts for the day. If I have any phone sessions, I prep for those. I like to go to the gym around lunch, go to the gym, get a workout in, come back home. Might check in with my girl, Brooklyn. Hey, girl. Check in with her, see if the schools need anything. Might have to make a couple truancy calls, do a couple home visits, team meetings, meet with my supervisor. That's it.
That's a lot.
That's it. But I'm blessed to work for a company that treats me well. So it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. How did you find this company remote?
This is a crazy thing. So I had been with a company that had been through a lot of changes, my first remote job. So this is my second remote job. So I was miserable. I was crying to my mama and my daddy every day. And so I was asleep one night. God woke me up and was like, get on Facebook. So I get on Facebook. Literally, this job was the first thing I saw. And I was like, it was 3:33. And I was like, okay. So I don't know if anybody's real big with numbers. So any 333-444, I'm real big on that. So I applied, and literally a week later, the job was mine. And I want social workers to expand their options, because I feel like a lot of social workers put themselves in a box that, oh, I can only do this, or I can only do that. You can do whatever you want to do. And I'm just blessed to be able to work for a company that provides me with the freedom and the flexibility to do what I want to do. So
Well, I would say that most social workers or just people in general that are boxed in is because of lack of knowledge. So the information you guys are sharing tonight is definitely going to get them out of the box.
yeah, and I will say, if anybody's looking for a remote job, LinkedIn is your best friend. Okay, get on LinkedIn.
All right.
Okay. Like them, it's hard to have a typical day. So my day usually starts at least at 7. I'm responding to emails, usually regarding either student issues that need to be resolved so that they can be effective on the university campus, or policy kind of things, operation things, first thing in the morning. And then I supervise faculty, so as soon as I'm in an office, usually faculty, some of the people sitting here, coming to see me with various issues. I do administrative things. I also do, as I said, some contract work in the community. So I may be working on like a grief group, developing grief groups for a certain population. I'm usually handling incidents that happen with students. Many of our students are stressed, so they come in and I end up talking to them about how to manage their life so they can be successful in the environment. Lots and lots of meetings. Social workers go to lots and lots of meetings.
Yes.
Because we're an interpersonal profession. But my day usually ends about 7, because even when I leave campus, I'm getting emails. And if you're a social worker who really wants to do the work, then often you are open to after hours work, which is not good, social workers, wherever y'all are. But it's true, because we cannot cut off the day, usually at 5. We want people to feel like they're being heard, they're being seen, and they're being helped.
That's awesome. Man, y'all are definitely busy. So I'm not jealous of that. I'm busy in a different way. I got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, so I'm busy with sports. They play all the sports.
This is the slowest my schedule has ever been.
Oh, well, enjoy it. Well, you don't get up at 12 o'clock. I mean, you must be dealing with a lot of jet lag.
Exactly.
You know, you like to travel, as you say.
This is an easy schedule for me.
Before we go on to our next question, is any questions out from the crowd tonight? Y'all got anything y'all want to throw at us? Don't matter. Anything. If you don't, it's cool. We just want to give y'all the option. Any question?
Miss Patty, you don't have a question?
All right. Well, that's cool with me. All right. So we're going to move on to our next section. Challenges and the emotional side of social work. All right. So what's something about social work? What's something about being a social worker that the public doesn't see? So what's something about being a social worker?
The emotional labor, the trauma that we carry, just taking on other people's problems. And we don't do it intentionally. So just trying to work through their trauma on top of your trauma, and you got a lot going on, but you still got to help people with what they got going on. So just that emotional labor, it can take you down through there. So
I can see that. I know y'all get exposed to some stuff that is like children should never ever have to go through this situation. And we've seen it here with kids that come in, we get their story, and it's like, you know, like, man, but most of the time it's not even their fault. It's just the house they were raised in. You know, you don't get to choose your parents. So, anybody else?
I would say the criticism, as a social worker and just the social work profession, altogether, like we receive a lot of criticism, and it gets heavy because our job is to empower. So it gets heavy when we are receiving criticism, like if a family decides that they just want to blast you on social media,
Facebook.
you
Mhm.
can't say nothing.
You can't respond?
You can. That is a
In
breach
person.
of HIPAA. And you will lose your license and
Wow.
your job. So when somebody is recording you
Yeah.
doing your job, and that's put on social media for the community to
Wow.
see,
And
you're
comment
perceived-
on.
yeah, you're perceived in a negative way.
Yeah.
Like, that's heavy. Not only that, but again, the trauma that we're exposed to. So it gets heavy to continue to do the job and to maintain just a positive outlook when we're human beings.
Yeah.
And we have feelings and emotions. And a lot of times people are not coming to us because life is great.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming to us because they're in need. So we have to be able to see past a lot of the negative behaviors that other people see as, oh, well, I'm not going to do this. I wouldn't do that because they cussed me out or they saying this and that. We have to be able to see past that. We have to be able to see that that anger is really hurt.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to meet them right there where they are
Yeah.
in that anger. And that gets heavy. So being able to have your own support, your own community. And as social workers, that's one thing that we are good for. We are good for coming together and saying, listen here.
Yeah.
Today was a day. So being able to show others that we are human beings, and although we are here to help and we want to do that, you know, sometimes the criticism gets heavy.
Gotcha. That makes
It's
sense.
real heavy. And I've gotten, I'm sorry, Dr. Cummings, I don't want to cut you off. I've gotten death threats. I've been followed. People trying to find
Yes.
where I live.
Yeah.
I've been followed from leaving the office. Like it's a lot.
Wow. Wow.
But I agree with both of you. It's the emotional labor, it's the intellectual challenge, it's the meaning of the profession, and usually by other professionals. But that, and the thing I think that people don't see as well is that we are trained professionals. We are trained with specific methods and interventions, and that value base means everything, like you're
Yes.
talking about. So when somebody's cussing you out,
Yes.
that you can see past that to the pain they're experiencing
Yeah.
and try to meet them at that place to make a difference. But that is the emotional toll that you have to learn as a social worker. How are you going to balance it? We call it having boundaries. How are you going to have boundaries between what you do in your work and a real life? Because life is not like this for us, for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and even with families, working with families, like they get angry, and they're angry. You're representing one of the reasons that they're angry, but you're not the reason.
Yeah.
And one of the things I try to keep in mind in the past when I have encountered really angry parents is, number one, I'm not learning any new words that, I've heard those words before. They're not saying anything that I haven't heard before, but any of the language. That's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
but, and it's not personal to me, but it's personal to them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So.
So
can't
that's
take it
part. Is that part of your training, like, or is that something you just learned on the journey?
I learned.
I learned it.
Yeah, I learned that the first time, my first experience of a parent being really angry, I just thought, I just kept reminding myself, those words are not nice, not kind, or with me, but I've heard them before. I've heard them from other people. Watched movies with those words, so it's not anything that I'm offended by.
Yeah.
But I have to understand that they don't understand, and that I'm coming into their life.
We talk a lot about anger. People think social workers just deal with angry people, but we
No.
deal with a lot of sad, discouraged people who do not see their worth.
Yeah.
And that, in some ways, is harder than when you deal with angry
You
people.
can see that.
When you can see that everybody has worth and value, and you can see that person, they can't feel it, they can't see it, they don't know a way out. That's hard as a social worker.
Mhm.
I think there are more people that we encounter that don't see their value
Mhm.
than that are angry.
So you'll deal with a lot of, like you said, people not having self-worth, and then they're hopeless. And we see that when we interact with the youth. And it's one, like I said, mental health is one of those challenges that people are still trying to figure out. Like, it's just no set thing, like, boom, this right here works every time for everybody. It's so complex, and some people don't even want to be helped, so it's even harder now. Like, the kids that come here, some of them, like, they're coming here only because their parents are making them come. They don't want to be here. We just pray.
That's the language of childhood. That's the language.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what you say. I don't like you anyway.
So that's why it's like, I don't know, you guys are big on building relationships with the families, because if you don't, they're not going to trust you, or they're not going to trust you as much. And that's what we like to do, like to build relationships. Like, let me be present and consistent in your life.
And I think your program builds community.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is what, we haven't mentioned that. We've talked about individual work with people, but social workers build communities.
Yes.
We help create laws that make communities better places for people. We help empower people in communities and groups. So social workers who work in social work, and you probably get to this, they often are thinking about clinical work. They're going to work one-on-one with people, but the profession itself trains us to understand how much the larger environment affects us as individuals, like the change in administration. We aren't in DC, but we can feel it tremendous right here.
Yeah. I love listening to y'all talk. Like, seriously, like, the knowledge y'all have is just, is powerful. So be more open to share. I mean, like, seriously. Like, just be more open
one
to
of the
share.
things I think about, and this is going to go back to pay, but, a lot of jobs, it just depends on the agency, what type of agency you work for. But I think especially when someone first comes out of school, you get a job, straight, in social work, and, you're helping clients, to get resources, and that social worker is thinking in their head, I'm barely making, above the limit. I'm needing the same resources that I'm sitting down here helping this client.
Yeah.
Get resources, food stamps, whatever type of assistance. I'm just barely at that line myself. And they're having to think about this day in and day out.
Yeah.
As they help others, and the powers that be that make these decisions aren't in our, shoes.
Right.
Have never stepped in our shoes to understand what we go through. Don't see the caseload.
Yeah.
The number of cases. They're not driving up and down these roads, especially these, entry level social work jobs. You're up and down county roads all day long, with an ungodly caseload, and yet you're barely making above minimum wage. That asks for a master's degree.
And a license.
And license. So the things, we talking about things you don't see. These are the things people don't know. And clients are in their head thinking, we balling, somehow. And it's so far from the truth. And that wears and tears, just emotionally on social workers.
Yeah. So how do you guys deal with the weight? How do you guys deal with that? I mean, you talking about how heavy it is. What are y'all doing? Because y'all looking good over here. So I'm working.
I got a very. You go ahead. Go first.
No, self-care.
Self-care.
Yeah.
What kind of self-care? That's so broad. What do you
I was gonna say, I got a very unorthodox look of when we talk about burnout, when we talk about being in a job that's low paid. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave. If I get to the point where I'm too burnt out to effectively do my job and I might cause more harm than good, I'm out of there. If I'm at a job they're not paying nothing, I'm out of there.
Okay.
Can I add to that? But see, that for some people is a self-care strategy.
It is.
I think for me, how I do it is it aligns with my personal values. It aligns with my faith system. And so Yes, I've always wanted to make more money. Yes, social workers should be, and we must be paid for our skills. But if I'm doing a job that changes the lives of people, I'm not thinking about money when I'm doing that job. I'm thinking about, am I doing what needs to be done? And so what helps me is, does it align with how I feel people should be treated and the opportunities that they have? And at the end of the day, I feel better. Now, if it's a place where I'm not getting paid, I am looking.
That's it.
On the job, on the clock,
That's it.
on the clock.
That said, I manage it by doing what fits with my values and the values of the profession.
So it sounds like can't just anybody wake up and say, "Hey, I want to be a social worker."
They trying to make that the standard nowadays.
They can,
So.
but they might not be effective.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like you have to have like a deep why, as we like to say in the motivational world. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Because I know, like, I love the kids, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to deal with them every day. Like, there's a limit to, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I'm here, I'm all in. You're going to get 100. I'm going to come. But after that, like, hey, a couple of days of this, I need to get away. You know what I'm saying? I got to go back home to an 8-year-old and 10-year-old and a wife. You know what I'm saying? So no, yeah, I can't. And I love them. I'll do but man, like what y'all do every day, in and out, 8+ hours, you have to be called for that. Or or that weight is going to weigh you all the way down.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys have an out, which I know you do, but make sure you guys have an outlet that's bigger than you. Okay.
Absolutely.
And for Zoe, I believe that's just his boundaries he done already set up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm so glad that he used that word boundaries, because one of the ways you stay in the game of social work is to
Yes.
have good boundaries.
Yes.
What you're telling your clients, you should be telling yourself.
Exactly.
And what you said about the profession, you got to have a big why. We are a profession that says when students major in social work, we are not only educating and training them, we're mentoring. So while they're in the program, we're helping to guide them. Think about your life. How do you manage these things? How are you going to have boundaries when you're talking to somebody that had the same life experience you had and not be caught up in it or be devastated by it?
That's good.
So yeah, we try to help people have and then we help people redirect career paths.
Yes.
Yes.
That's important too. That's probably even more important. Like, you could go screw somebody else's life up. Like,
So we are all up in our students' Kool-Aid over there at UNA, trying to help them find why that's going to keep them.
good. All right. So before Trina asks the next question, I want to know, has any of y'all ever went off on somebody? Like, straight up.
Professionally.
Have I? Have I? I done went
Try
off.
my last email.
So it happens.
Respectfully, I have gone off, and then there's been moments in certain agencies where maybe not so much on the clients. I've definitely went off on doctors. I've definitely went off on nurses. I've definitely went off on supervisors. So they really get it the most from me.
Okay.
I really don't go off too much on clients. I've had a few that I've tied up with, but when I go off on somebody, it's somebody in leadership. It's somebody in management. It's a supervisor or somebody. So they gonna get the smoke, not the clients.
You look like you ain't nobody to play with, so we taking notes.
That's not fake news. That's not true.
Anybody else had a moment when you just like got fed up and just was like, you know what, you gonna get it. You gonna get it today.
How you do?
Just one.
Come on, OG. You know you got more than one.
Only one I'm going to tell you. So I did have a client threaten me while I was transporting her, and she threatened me in the car what she would do to me. And so I just told her that, I am from the East Side.
Okay. I know that's right. I know that's right.
and I can give up my job today because I will
like
not be
that.
hurt. I love my clients.
Right.
I treat them well, but you are not going to hurt me.
I know that's right.
That's good stuff right there. Hey, you said don't be fooled by these credentials.
My earrings off.
Take 'em off. And I feel like a lot of times people expect us to take
Yes.
Yeah.
hard stuff for people like, no, you talking to me like I'm finna walk you out this building. Like I'm not finna sit here and listen to you talk
Yeah.
to me crazy. Like, no, shut that down.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
But respectful.
respectfully, of
Respectfully.
course.
They'll push you. Trust me. They'll push you. We've had some students here, and when I come in to lead group, I'm like, look, don't have him in my class, because today ain't today. Because today is not the day.
You know your boundaries.
Yeah, but anyways, go ahead, Trent. We can move on. Unless you got something else you want to throw in there before we move
No,
on.
no.
We don't get to hear. We don't get to hear from them.
Well, they ain't speak up, so I mean, like,
Yeah, I didn't got some people together, but I feel like clients will test you.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
like they gonna see if they can run game on you.
Oh, yeah.
And I just
See
let
how
them
far
know
they
that,
can go.
listen here now. Okay, I'm gonna respect you. You're gonna respect me. And if you can't respect me, I can remove myself because I'm not gonna continue this conversation if you're gonna talk to me this way.
gotcha.
You know, I can't say what you want to say, but you got to keep it, professional.
I got you.
Yeah, keep it cute, but you can still get them together. So.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Professionally.
and I know you didn't got some folks.
Yeah. I mean, because I deal with a lot, of teenagers
Yeah.
who have really tried to try me.
Team.
Them be
I
the
don't
ones.
back down, but I do it professionally.
And we remember we're dealing with hurting people. Hurting
Exactly.
people want to hurt. others.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And it'd be so crazy though. It'd be the ones that it'd be the ones that be very smart,
Yes.
very smart.
Mhm.
And then you be to build a good relationship and you be to show them
Yes.
so much grace.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, well, your grace is running out today. You know what I'm saying? But you'll be nice to them, you be kind, you build a relationship with them, you pouring into them, and they get it. They'll come back the next week or 2 weeks later and quote something that you said about a month ago. I was like, so I know you're listening, I know you're soaking it up, but then here we go. You come back in the next week and you back to the foolery. So, and like I said, it hurts your heart because it's like you got so much potential, but I can't tap into it because you're not willing to tap into it.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you got ankle thing on. Next thing you know, you shipped off. Next thing you know, we speaking to you in the detention center. Like, bro, you was just here with us. We was giving you everything, but you got to want it for yourself. I don't know how we got there, but yeah, we went there.
You keep saying things, but what we have to remember is those moments we have with clients, they go back to where they live.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
7
go.
days a week, and
Yes.
we are not living their life.
Right.
And so why I don't have as many stories as Miss Leslie would like to say. But because of that, what you just said, they're doing great, they're smart, they have great potential. We see it, but we don't live where they live.
Right. There's a quote that we say often is don't try to make our normal their normal.
yes.
Because we come in with our experiences,
Mhm.
our background. Man, bro, this guy wasn't raised nowhere near like you. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to remember those things. And it's hard at times, but that's why, like you said, y'all are trained professionals and y'all should be treated accordingly and paid accordingly. All right.
Having said all that, and kind of narrowing it down, when we look at it, if you could change one thing about how social work is viewed, or supported, what would it be? And there's a part 2. And for those coming behind us, stepping into this field and about to take on the work that we've committed our lives to, what advice would you give to someone that's considering a career in social work? So I'll say it again. What is one thing that you would change about the way that social work is viewed? And then for those that's coming into the field of social work, what advice would you give them?
That we're professionals.
Yeah.
And like she said, the T-shirt, I'm not in it for I think the T-shirts, I'm not in it for the income, I'm in it for the outcome. And I'm not sure if I've told every class, but I know I've mentioned, don't wear that T-shirt because you're a professional. You expect to have income and
Yes.
expect to be valued because you are valuable. Your knowledge, your skills, they're valuable.
Mhm.
And then the second part would be just to have for this for the upcoming social workers to have an understanding of the communities that they work in, and
That's good.
That's good.
how those communities are set up to maintain to maintain some people or block the success and well-being of other people. So just have an understanding of their community.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's good.
Know your audience. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll piggyback
Yeah.
off that. I definitely think us as social workers, I think how we view ourselves, I think that needs to be the
Mhm.
first thing that needs
Yes.
to be changed. Because, like you said, we are professionals. We're trained. We're licensed. We're educated. So why are we acting like social work is just like a field to, oh, it's just social work? No, like,
Just a social.
yeah, no, we are trained professionals. And so my advice for any upcoming social worker is I would recommend check your biases and check your trauma. A lot of people come into the social work field with trauma and they get lost in everybody else's cases. They put themselves too much in the shoes of others, and they get too involved and it can get real messy. So it's good to have a caring heart, but I need you to understand why you chose social work. And if there's something that you need to work on, you need to go get help on. Do that before you try to work with other people.
That's good. I like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Miss Deja?
I would say again that social workers, we are highly trained. So we are highly trained.
Get trained on that mic.
We possess a specialized set of skills and tools. We have academic knowledge. And the interventions that we provide our clients, like they are evidence based, meaning that there's research to show that in order for us to be able to assist this family with this resource, like there is research to show that this is effective. So we're not just like coming up with stuff at the top of our head. Like we have to make sure that we are competent. We have to take a state test. You can't just go and get a degree and that's enough. Like, no, there is a standardized state test that you have to take and you have to be able to pass it in order for you to be able to do certain things. And also the second part is just making sure that you really understand what social work is, because it's not all about just linking, families and clients to resources. It's about empowering them. So making sure that you understand what that looks like and what you want to do, because there are so many different things that you can do with social work.
Awesome.
So I'm so glad all three of you touched on what is really meaningful to me. Social workers need to own their power.
Yes.
We are powerful as a profession. In fact, we need to unionize in Alabama.
We do.
Yes. Come on.
So that we can advocate adequate pay and to be placed in places where other people with certain degrees are placed. What I want young social workers to know is you make a difference in the lives of people. But in order to make a difference in the lives of people, you got to make a difference in your own life. You must value yourself. And not only as a professional, but as a human being that deserves respect and to be treated well. And also that we are so capable and flexible as social workers, and we just don't honor that enough. And we need to do it. So I would love to see social workers own their power. We talked about empowerment, but I want to remind all of us social workers that we sign up not only to empower people, but to help people achieve human rights and social justice. As I say in my classrooms, we often are the conscience of America. Because we say what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and everybody should have an opportunity. So I would want social workers to know that they are change makers.
Wow, that's awesome. I have learned so much tonight, like real talk, and not only that, I've got a higher level of respect for you, for any social worker. Like I said, I've been around social workers, but I didn't understand like the training that you guys really had. Like, when Trenda started volunteering here, she would come and I would look in her class. She'd be doing all these different little techniques and stuff. I was like, what is she doing? But it'd be effective. And like she said, she ain't just making this stuff up. This stuff has science behind, or methods behind it, has studies behind it, research behind it. But like I said, I mean, I do truly have a higher level of respect for what you ladies are doing. So I just applaud you guys, and hopefully you guys will keep that fire and keep allowing God to use you to be His hands and His feet to bless people to help change their lives. And if we can support you guys in any kind of way, holler at us. Who got a question?
Not enough.
Not enough.
No.
Okay, so the question was asked, are there a lot of men, or do you see a lot of men in this field?
You are so timely with that question. We had a faculty meeting on Tuesday, and that is one of our goals for the upcoming academic year, is to have a project where we are mentoring and developing men or males, particularly men of color, Black males, into the profession, and trying to develop mentors for them, because we need representation of all types. And so, and we don't have as many men as could be effective.
I was.
Why do you feel like
Wow. Well, it's a complex answer. One thing, social work was founded in a maternalistic society where women were seen as helpers. And so then females were commonly did the work of social work until it expanded from the helpers who went out and got people jobs and helped educate them and helped elevate poor, to where now they were teaching and in hospitals, and maybe this is a profession males could be in. So you see that reflected in salary. The historical reasons why salary is lower is because women in our society, newsflash, are paid less than men, at least 77 cents on a dollar compared to a male. And in social work, even though we're a profession of equity and social justice, women are still paid 80% on a dollar compared to males. So part of why we don't see it is because still we live in a society where males get higher paying jobs. And even when you look in social work, if you look at our administrators.
That's a word.
That's it. That's it right there.
So yeah, we could go on. That's a whole 45-minute lecture.
And I will say, I've seen more male social workers like in other cities, like this area, not too much, but like the further south you go, the more male social workers I've came in contact with, and in other places.
Me too. I've seen other places, but if we look at percentage-wise in the field,
All right, Ms. Trent, is there anything you want to say before we close out?
I just, man, we heard it a lot tonight, but it's really us just really owning the profession and valuing ourselves. I just had a major conversation last night about really how the way others are going to see us and respect us and value us is really going to tie back to us valuing ourselves. And I will say this, even when people just say invite you out to do something, and they need your expertise. And I hate saying this because sometimes I hate talking about money. But when people want your expertise to do something, you know, they think a God bless you is going to get it. And put a figure on it. Put a number on it. Because you're saying you value your experience. You value your expertise. You value because you're going, they know that you're a social worker. They know that this is your profession. And that's what they want. That's why they called you. And so we have to go in that. We have to own that. But we have to put a number on it. And this goes, you know, into, I think Leslie was saying it, you know, we have to demand. We have to demand what we deserve. Not what we want. And I'm not saying it is definitely not about the money. Well, we have to live.
But we do produce a product, and products have value on them, and it's about the product. And I want to say too, for young, we have to speak the language of social work. That's the only thing I didn't say. I would love to see people speak the language of social work, because when we're in the room for doctor and they're talking,
Mm-hmm.
we hear,
Mhm.
but we think professionals, we pay a professional.
Yeah.
The same has to be for social work. We have to speak it and carry ourselves in such a way that we don't have to say, you should pay me more.
Mhm.
It
You
is,
know.
it's seen.
Yeah.
But how do we as social workers, how do we get to a point where we're having a conversation more? There's more transparency about salary. I know when I first met Trenda, we had several conversations at a certain agency, like, because I know you took a major pay cut to go to that one agency, and you was like, this ain't cutting. And I was like, I know, we got to get up out of here. So how do we as social workers make that declaration of us as a whole? We're going to advocate for ourselves to make more money. We're going to advocate for our communities. Like, you cannot call a doctor, you can't call a psychiatrist, you can't call a nurse, anybody. Hey, I need your opinion on XYZ, and do it for free. So don't feel bad on putting no money on consultations, because folks call me, hey, I need your cash out my consulting fee right quick.
Come on now.
So
So when I'm not so sure. One of the things that I think about, especially when I'm talking about people, because I have a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, how can I start a nonprofit? How can I get it to a successful point in which it looks like you are?" One of the things for me is there's nothing wrong with you creating a demand for your identity.
Exactly.
Ladies, when there's a certain piece of jewelry, clothes, anything like that, you want to pay and do whatever you got to do to get there.
Exactly.
You got to see yourself like that.
Yes.
That's another thing too when you're dealing with people and you're kind of frowned upon or don't want to speak about pay. Another perspective is people always protect what they invest in.
Mhm.
So if you're charging or if the cost is enough, if they do it, they're going to appreciate your service a lot better.
And to that point, social workers, because I've been in management, I've been a director, I've been an executive director, more than one agency. Social workers do not negotiate for salary.
they don't.
We've had that
They
recent
don't.
conversation because we are taught not to. It's a female dominated profession. Talking about money is almost taboo.
Mhm.
But we need to speak for what we do.
Mhm.
Yes. They can only say no,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And then they find out your value and they come back and ask you, will you?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, and I believe that one of the reasons that social workers are paid less because the people that we work with are
Come on.
they're not valued.
That's good. That's good.
Did she say that
Ooh,
again?
you-
That's good.
That's a good one.
That's good.
Say that in
Say that
a
again.
That's good.
I have one
Well-
thing I want to say tonight. So when I listen to you all speak and I look at the way people view law enforcement,
Mhm.
and I see it's a both comparison because they're needed but undervalued.
Mhm.
And imagine like what would it be like if we had these money?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
That's kind of like what I'm seeing out of this right here. It's like it's very detrimental that the service is provided, but people don't see it.
Goes back what you said earlier, doctor. If y'all don't unionize, you're not gonna be able to.
Yeah.
I don't see no other way of how you're actually, because I mean, now you may be able to do it here in this area, maybe. If somebody's like, no, nobody takes this job if they don't not, stuff
There's
like that.
always
But
going
if
to
you,
be somebody that's going to take it. Though.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
that's
So if
why
you don't have a
agencies feel
union, then it's gonna be
comfortable.
almost impossible
Yeah.
for you guys to.
Yeah, unions have to start somewhere. If you look at states where social workers do have unions, because there's states in the United States where social workers do have unions, social workers are paid more.
You better get on it.
Look, I
It-
tried to do a strike, a walkout. Nobody was willing to walk out. So I was like, hey, y'all gonna keep making pennies and going up and down I-65 every night. I don't care. Nobody wanted to do it. So I feel like social workers are afraid to advocate and take speak up for them ourselves. So
Somebody has to start the movement.
Right.
Somebody has to.
Leslie.
Somebody has to start a movement.
I'm a radical social worker. So
So I'm just throwing it out. I'm not telling y'all to
in
do
my OG,
nothing. I'm just
do
telling you to
anything
do
for my OG.
something.
I'll do anything for my OG. So I ain't gonna point no fingers at who need to start the movement, but
Yeah, I wouldn't like y'all two together. Like
Dr.
your
Cummery,
feistiness.
Dr. Cummery used to eat me up in her classes. Like she would challenge me every class. But in the time, I was like, what, man, why she on me like that? Why Dr. Cummery on me? Why Miss Winston on me? But I appreciated it in the end because the social work profession will chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
So the
even-
radical in me was from her.
Even
So
radicals need discipline.
No, but she's a calm radical.
yes, I haven't got
We
to that
know
point
you're
yet.
radical.
I haven't got to that
We
point
we
yet.
know you're radical.
She
Her is
raised
like
me.
she'll say something like, "Oh, it's in her."
She taught me. She taught this. This is it.
Listen, we got to get up out of here because Dwayne gonna keep asking questions, and y'all see. Here we go. Here we go. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Corey. We good.
Okay.
Check.
Yeah, you talk about pay a lot. I was wondering what was the average pay rate for a social worker, and also you got to include student loans. What was the type of student?
We, my
We're not paying
goodness.
student loans. I mean, I'm comfortable talking about pay transparency, but I know a lot of people are not. When you say an average, are we talking about entry level?
Can I just say the Bureau of Labor Statistics says the average is $58,000 a year. Not in
Ooh,
this area.
I started out I made $28,000 my first social work job in 2016.
2016, they paid you $28,000 with how many degrees?
I only had one at the moment.
But
so
still,
I
you
I
still-
walked out making 28 in
Wow.
my next job at a major agency that a lot of people have worked for. I started out making about 32 there, and when I left, I was making about 40.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
why
gonna
we
be-
have so many jobs.
I see exactly why. Good God Almighty!
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got student loans, right?
We don't care
Yes.
nothing about those,
Yes.
but nobody's paying on their student loans.
Well, I would not say that.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I feel you
Millennial
on
social
that.
workers are
I
not
feel you
paying
on
their
that 'cause
student loans.
It's highway robbery.
Listen here now. If you
She
don't
make
pay the
payments.
student loan,
I got no $20 in
it will
January.
mess up your credit.
Make payments.
You pay.
What we learned too in social work is not to make blanket statements.
Sorry, I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
Gotcha. That makes sense. You never want to. Yeah, that makes perfect sense though. See, OG,
Thank
she
you.
know how to, and
She know how to get me
but she
together.
corrected you so smooth though. Nobody in here felt like you just got in trouble.
This all
You know what I'm
me.
saying?
She raised all of us.
She just popped your hand and you ain't even feel it.
All of us. This all me.
Man, we got any other questions? We got any other questions? Man, this has been an awesome episode. I know I've learned something. So if y'all have learned something, I'm talking to the people that's going to be watching the podcast. If y'all have learned something, make sure you share this. So I want to thank you ladies for joining us on tonight. It's been a great episode. A lot of knowledge has went forth. A lot of information has went forth, and we can definitely tell the passion that you guys have behind what you do. So keep moving, keep going forward, and keep blessing people, and God will continue to carry you guys through. All right. If you like this episode, be sure to share it. You guys be blessed. We out.